Welcome, everyone. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and tonight is our monthly Power Circle community event where every month we get together around some topic that we choose ahead of time. And tonight is Neptune moving into Aries for the first time in 165 years. So it's a pretty big collective cycle that we're going to go into. But first things first, let's anchor and unify and give folks another minute or two to get here while we call in the four directions together and anchor our systems with a little breath work and be here now. I invite our benevolent angels and loving ancestors and orishas, personal animal guides, and helping spirits to be with us tonight. We each have a powerful, invisible team of support, and it's even more potent when we bring them together like this. So let's take an initial breath, deep breath in, connecting above, below, and at the heart. Deep breath in. And hold and release. We're going to start at the heart chakra, where we honor the direction of east, an initiation point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the mind, and we activate the element of air. So here at the heart chakra, I want you to breathe as if you're breathing through and from your heart, connecting to your idea of pure joy, breathing very deeply, expanding, picturing your favorite shade of emerald green crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly. And let's take a deep breath in. And hold and release. We're going to come down to the power center, solar plexus, where we honor the direction of south, a culmination point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the spirit and activate the element of fire. So here I want you to picture your favorite shade of gold and yellow crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly, and make that connection to your own I am presence. Take a deep breath in. And hold and release. And come on down to the creative center, where we honor the direction of west, a completion point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the soul and activate the element of water. So here I want you to picture your favorite shade of orange crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly, and connect to your own energetic flow, creative flow, and cash flow, as well as your emotional flow. Picturing that crystal spinning brightly with light from within, and take a deep cleansing breath in. And hold and release. Come on down to the root chakra, where we honor the direction of north as a conception point, and where we access the inner wisdom of the body, and we activate the element of earth. So here I want you to picture your favorite shade of ruby red crystal infused with light from within and spinning brightly, and take a deep breath in, connecting to the nutrient, quality nutrient that is just for you this night. Deep breath in. And hold and release. All right. So welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be together with you. Tonight we're talking about Neptune moving into Aries, which is going to do March 30th in 2025, and will stay there all the way until 2039. 14 years Neptune stays in a sign. And it is a 165-year cycle that is rebooting on this collective level for one and all. We always think of Pisces as the ending and Aries as the new beginning that we all go through on micro to macro levels. And in this case, this is a pretty big reboot. So it's often challenging to make the outer planets relevant to us, but I'm going to, because there are ways that we can work with this, and I think you all should be aware of Neptune's dissolving capabilities, because as it moves through our Aries house and touches our Aries planet, it can activate this deep spiritual God connection, but it can also create issues around your boundaries and illusions and delusions, and have us seeing potential rather than the reality. And Neptune's kind of tricky to work with. So I think we should start there with the Neptune overview. And this is updated for my new Astro 101 class, but this is a good place for us to start. Neptune spends about 14 years in a sign and takes 165 years to make it through all 12. This means that its effects are much more subtle, less obvious, and take longer to manifest. This is a collective planet which moves great numbers of people along their evolutionary path, and everyone born in that 14-year period will share an ideal, a dream, or a vision for ourselves and humanity. Neptune guides all things spiritual, aspirational, inspirational, and reverent. It rules our imagination and the type of creativity that is boundless, transcending time and space as we know it, right? When you want to deepen your dedication to your spiritual practices, connect to a greater vision, or navigate other dimensions that you can only access with your own imagination, you can call in Neptune's energy to assist. Anytime you are spending time in nature, near the ocean, or in dream time, Neptune is guiding you. It is useful to cultivate a relationship with this part of yourself. I call it your invisible team or your spirit team. In many cultures, it is said that we have guides that walk with us our entire lifetime. The more you consciously tend to and fortify the relationship with your spirit team, the more tangible results are possible. Neptune also reminds us about boundaries of all kinds, the boundaries between worlds, dimensions, and space-time, and how we go beyond those boundaries, as well as how we get trapped within the confines of this reality by hanging on to old definitions of reality. So that's getting an upgrade too, because right behind Neptune, Saturn, the reality planet, is about to hit Aries too. So it's kind of deep, and it takes a lot of math to get Saturn, who's only in Pisces, Aries every 30 years, and Neptune, which is only there every 165 years, to line up exactly at the same time with Pisces and Aries. It's crazy. So we are in a zone where we can activate both the dream and the reality and bring them together to birth something new that's pretty powerful. And I don't want that lost on us when we get overwhelmed with thinking of the big collective picture and all this, right? So it's also good to understand the sign, lesson, and house or area of life of your own Neptune, and that's probably going to be in your post-call goodies. I think everyone should know where that is, because that will be good to compare to what's going on up in the sky. So it's good to know your own and those dreams that you share with your generation. It will help you understand your own sensitivity and boundary issues on a personal level, and it will help you activate your imagination, expand your vision, and open up to new possibilities for your individual creativity, personal faith, and renewed perception, that's getting a rebirth too, of what you're actually capable of this lifetime, okay? We're working with our vision and the connection to God or spirit as you know it, right? So this is why it's kind of broad. Like I said, it can be challenging to try to bring it down to our level, but it's not impossible. I really have found that I worked with Neptune a lot, but I wouldn't talk about it necessarily with the astrology that I teach to my beginners, because it is another level, y'all. We're all going to a new level with this one. One of the things I love to do with these cycles, y'all know this is my jam, right? Cycles and patterns and looking back at when this happened before. So the last time Neptune was in Aries was 1861 to 1875. So again, 14 years in the 1800s, where I got to also say with Pluto's 250-year cycle, there's a lot of big cycles that are coming back from the 1800s. There's a lot going on there, being, let's say, reactivated. But what I tell folks is cycles repeat over and over, but what's different every time they come back, the sky pattern is different, you're different, whoever's around you is different, your circumstances are different. So the idea is to respond in new ways, right? So let's think about that. And if you want to do your own digging and go down a rabbit hole, because that's what it is, we'd be here for hours, y'all, if I really broke every little piece down. So I'm going to hit some overview stuff. And anyone that wants anything deeper can reach out directly. But think of the wars and the different energies, and think of the delusions going on during those years in the late 1800s, and also the breakthroughs. What do they say? Need is the mother of all invention. When we're birthing something new in Aries, it's a pioneering pathfinder. What do they call it? Bushwhacking. We're taking our machete and we're cutting a path where there wasn't one before. That is huge. And so we get to co-create with that. Going forward, when Neptune hits Cancer, which is going to be 2065 to 2079, it'll be in Cancer. But the last time it did that was 1901 to 1916. Going forward, 2105, it was hard to even write those numbers, to 2120 will be the same cycle in Libra that we had in 1942 to 57. And then the last one in Capricorn will be 2148 to 2162. The last time we did that was 1984 to 1998, which at least some of us can remember. So think about Neptune and, like I said, the dreams and imagination and the expansion that's possible, but also the illusions, delusions, and sucky boundaries that goes on. And in the 80s and 90s, it was in Capricorn. So the illusion was all around that government structure and everything that we're living out of now, that we're seeing the results of, the corporate America zone that got taken over. That's an illusion on a certain level. The 40s and 50s in Libra, the illusion, at least in America, of this little perfect families, white picket fence, dog named Spot crap that was not the American dream, that actually was a nightmare. So again, with the delusions and Cancer in the early 1900s, 1901 to 1916, again, we're approaching a depression. And so there's something to be said for Cancer locking down to be so secure that they end up blocking their blessings. We don't want to do that in any kind of way. But the reason I review Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn is because that's what it's going to activate in our charts as well. If Neptune is going to dissolve certain things and change certain things over a 14-year period, a long, slow process, is kind of like a slow cooking, that's happening in our Aries department and will touch all our Aries planets. We can expand in so many ways, but we also have to be super mindful of our boundaries. All Aries planets that are now going to have to deal with Neptune touching them and changing my perception around it. And so that's what it's going to do for our Aries department. It's going to activate our imaginations and get us present to things we would never think about. And it's important for us to play with that. You know, use your oracles, ask your questions, do what you can to get more information on that. I put down things that I called aspects to cultivate, and then the shadow side of Neptune being in Aries. And the other thing, because it's 14 years, tonight I'm only going to talk about the stuff that's going to affect us in 2025, because each year it'll retrograde, and each year we'll get an opportunity to touch base and see what's going on with Neptune and what it touches each year. Like, I did make a breakdown and typed it all up, and I've got my years all plotted out. But overall, I would say 25 in front of me, Jupiter and Uranus engage, whereas 2026, I added Venus and Mars because there's going to be a conjunction, and they're going to be all together at the same time, initiating a whole new cycle in 2026. Then 27 is only 2 activations of the same kind. 28 is only 1. 30 is only 1. 31 is only 1. 32 is only 1. So it looked like the beginning and the end of Neptune being in Aries are the busy times where it's going to engage other planets in the sky, which is going to affect us on individual, social, and collective levels. So it's the initiation and completion, you know, the beginning and the ending, that is going to matter and be most obvious when we look back on these years, right? So let's think about that as we go in. And let's cultivate our spiritual warrior. You know, this is the way we can go with it, where you're vigilant about your beliefs that serve you, right? We don't want any beliefs that lock us up or hold us hostage in dogma. But to have that spiritual practice and have that philosophy of life, that code that you're able to live by no matter what anybody else is doing, is going to be something you're going to have to fight for, because the whole world is upside down right now, and they want us locked in a box to go their way. And this crew isn't doing it that way. So anybody listening to my stuff knows that I want you to have that individual sovereignty within the context of your relationships and communities and the world. And I love working with Yeye because she's a world server, but I serve the individuals. That's why we complement each other. She helps me expand my vision, and I help her dial it in for the people in front of her, because sometimes she forgets that she's talking to beginners. And so sometimes I got to raise my hand and make it apply to us, right? So this is what we need to think about while Neptune is moving through this zone of our charts as well. What do we have to be more spiritual about, and what are we going to have to actually, I don't want to say fight for, because we don't want to invite fights and conflicts and battles, right? We don't want to do that. But protect your boundaries. Like, be vigilant about your boundaries, because Aries is you, the individual. So it's about you and your space and your day-to-day and how that works for you. And at the same time, you want to have that daily connection with God so that you do feel safe moving around, navigating the world. because the world is a little scary sometimes, but I don't feel that when I feel my team around me, my spirit team. So that's why I think we have to cultivate that. And then intuition and instincts, really getting your heart and head in alignment. Your intuition, is what we pick up in the upper chakras, and the instincts are in the body. This is what we feel internally that is wired in. And so we want to strengthen and fortify those things because, again, with the illusions in the world and nothing being what it appears to be and all that crazy can be crazy making. So if you're as healthy as you can be and your channel is as clean and clear as it can be, then you can hear your spirit team guiding you and you can make moves. I've done it my whole life because I pretty much was alone until I was 30, and then I created my own family. But I had to navigate from teenage years to 30 alone. No siblings, no parents, nothing. So I learned how to watch my own back. That's the way I put it. I learned how to check the perimeter. I learned how to see what was going on, to feel the vibe. And this is how I trained my son on energy, is that when energy shifts. Everything can feel right for a minute, and then something can go sideways, and all of a sudden the energy ain't right no more. You just move. Don't question it. Don't try to analyze it in the moment. Just leave. Again, if our channel's clean, we can be attuned to energy. We can respond better and not get sucked into the illusions or get hurt because we weren't paying attention, right? We're going to develop, because it's going through Aries, a deeper faith in ourselves as individuals. We can't be looking to the community and the world to tell us how to function. That's not going to work in the future because we're moving into the Aquarian age, which is also about being a sovereign individual, but knowing that you're part of a larger whole. So we're developing that as well, and the better we are at, let's say, grounding our identity and purpose, ourselves, and not having it assigned to us. So you want to be able to develop these things for yourself going forward. And so developing that faith and self-trust is important because, again, you might be making choices and decisions that are contrary to popular culture or mainstream, whatever, or even your family these days. So they found a way to throw a wedge in there, too, with COVID and all the crazy. You're also going to be able to cultivate a direct relationship with spirit. No middleman necessary. Absolutely not. That's going to be deeper and deeper. Again, we don't necessarily, it's nice to have a translator sometimes. It's nice if you're feeling blocked or imbalanced or feeling like you need support in that way and have someone else be a little bit more of a clear channel to discern the messages. That's one thing. But over this 14 years, you're going to learn how to create your own spiritual practices that work for you and hopefully develop them in a day-to-day, ongoing basis. And the self-awareness, you have to put that at the top of the list because the better you are at being self-aware, the more clear you'll be. You'll have this clarity versus the delusion, right? Because the shadow is an idealistic worldview. There's a lot of perfectionism that goes into this zone. I put down impatience and deceitfulness because, Aries is wanted now, and Neptune can be super deceiving if that predator is in mode of hunting for their prey, and that's going to be a good post called Goodies, Predator and Prey. There's an article, y'all, that I have from years ago. I don't know if I can link it, but I'm sure I've got it somewhere, called Predator and Prey, that I also made my son read because I wanted him to understand the world better. And this was it's a shaman couple that used to write a blog post all the time. Jose and Lena, I want to say. Stevens, I think, were the names, but don't quote me. I'll get the article. But we want to think about that and think about how people who don't really want to work for it or don't think they have enough time to work for it and build something because the world and the economics or the financial systems are so jacked, it's hard to think about saving because we're in survival mode. It's hard to think if we save this much by the time we get to wherever we're going, it's not going to be enough because of inflation or whatever. So there's going to be a lot of scams, y'all. There's going to be a lot of scams. That's part of the shadow. So just be, again, with that vigilance about your boundaries is going to have to do with cyberspace the most, because this is where we're going to get hit the hardest, is in that virtual reality. And Aries doesn't do virtual so well. It's here and now, in this moment, in this body. We don't want to talk about it or think about it. We just want to do it in Aries. So people who are off on their little dreams and fantasies and in other dimensions might be acting in certain kinds of crazy ways. We got to look out. You know, it's 165 years. None of us were here for the last go-round. So all we have to go on is the history we can dig up or the stories we can find about that time. Inadequate personal boundaries, of course, would be the shadow, because I'm just going to pound on you the whole time to work on those boundaries. To do self-preservation, Aries is critical. Being misled or misunderstood. So there's either the coming from the inside out, trying to express your Aries self, right, your individual self, and being completely misunderstood by the perceptions of others, which really sucks. Nobody likes that feeling. Or, like I said, buying into the illusion and being misled down this road that they, got lots of promises, but nothing to back it up. So again, with due diligence, with follow up and follow through, with taking care of your own needs, know what you need, ask for what you want, know what you want, ask for what you need, be very vocal, and again, with the self-preservation, it is not selfish, it is first law of nature, it's essential, right? If you don't do the self-preservation, no one's doing it for you. And even the people that love us the most can't do it for us. So that's going to come into play a lot over and over and over as well. Now, this was kind of deep because I'm trying to remember what the rabbit hole was that I went down. I printed the chart for the moment that Neptune hits Aries. That's what we do around here. It's called the ingress. And it's all up in the 12th and 1st house in the chart. So Pisces Aries is all in 12 and 1, which is the Pisces and Aries house. So this is a huge reset for us. Aries is ruling the chart. The cardinal points are on the four corners. So Aries, Libra, self versus other, home versus work is going to be the theme for 25 anyway. I want to look at it that way. Pluto is moving through Aquarius. This is going to be a long 20-year process. But Pallas is there with it in the 11th house. So I think as we're incubating a new vision for taking care of our own individual needs, a new vision for our reality, a new vision for our life path and direction, a new vision for our relationships and finances and resources and things. And that's what changed within 24 hours, y'all. Mercury. In our chart, Mercury is retrograde at 29 degrees Pisces, and the very day before it was hitting Aries. So it's crazy. Mercury's going to be in a retrograde process of spring of 25. So we're going to be rethinking. That's why I say incubating this new vision is going to be part of that. Right now, we can kind of get a jump on it. I'm giving you a heads up. But know that ultimately, that Aries is hitting that first house with Moon Chiron and Sun and Neptune close together with the rising, with the ascendant. So there's all this energy for change, energy for new beginnings and things, but healing on the deepest possible level. And I think if we can heal our consciousness and heal our fears and phobias, irrational fears and things, then we can birth this new level of consciousness for ourselves and for our people and for the people that we touch along the way. During that time, Jupiter's in Gemini, so the consciousness is already about learning and expanding your thinking and doing something new where your consciousness is concerned. So again, with spring of 25 is a huge shift because then Venus is also retrograde as of March 30th. And for this time in the beginning of 2025, this might be a little off-roading, but you should know Venus and Mercury are going to be neck and neck for months. It's really wild. I've never seen them travel this long together. They travel together every now and then, but because they both retrograde that year, Venus only does that every 18 months. So it's a special alignment for 2025 that's going to have our ideas being super creative and hopefully bringing in some resources. So this is some good mojo that we can tap into, but we're going to have to reset our Mercury and our Venus to do it, right? So that's a little background going on because that's what's in this chart, and it's all, like I said, locked up in that 12th and first house. So completions and new beginnings, endings and new beginnings is going to be the theme for 2025 for sure, where you kind of ride the cusp of that. What I also thought might be useful is the Aries light and shadow list. And I'll attach that too. There'll be some goodies in the post call note to everyone. Aries light and shadow is also something to keep in mind because now it's going to show up in the Neptune realm, spirituality, imagination, dreams, things like that. So let's just be aware, right? The light expression is the ability to know and articulate your personal needs, to be instinctive about self-preservation in a way that negotiates up front. That's going to be a big one, y'all. Negotiate your needs up front everywhere you go. Be clear and decisive while considering others is really important. Being fiercely protective of life and loved ones. Knowing who you are and what you want. Mastering patience, consideration, and empathy. We're going to get challenged with that. But Neptune is the ultimate compassion, so we got to activate it somehow. But mostly for yourself, for your Aries individual. Being passionate about your life's purpose, accomplishing goals with a clear direction in life, staying present, trusting, and walking by faith through life. Valuing physical activity and healthy competition is also part of Aries' dynamic. Knowing when to fight and when to back off, again with those boundaries being really critical. Being a fearless leader that cultivates independence in others. Thriving as a self-sufficient, independent adult with a youthful spirit all your life. That's the other thing. Aries is the infant. We get to really rebirth ourselves right now. And Neptune is the collective womb. So basically, our social collective is nothing but a reflection of all our individual consciousnesses coming together and agreeing to certain terms. And we don't agree to certain terms anymore. So the renegotiation is real. The shadow of Aries can be being competitive in love, game playing and manipulation, acting rashly in the heat of the moment, being impulsively cruel or indiscriminate anger, being confrontational in an effort to get your way, acting hard when soft would get better results, completely disregarding those near and dear to you, acting like a petulant, spoiled child, saying things that you can't take back, tit-for-tat mentality and a desire for vengeance, which is a toxic version of justice. So we do talk about toxic mimics a lot, y'all. Like gangs are a toxic mimic of community, and pornography is a toxic mimic of sex and sexuality, and vengeance is a toxic mimic of justice. Creating struggle unnecessarily, please let's not do that. Feeling like everything has to be a fight. Expecting those you love to prove their love and testing them unnecessarily. So we don't want to do that. That is a lot of light and shadow around Aries. Now, for 2025, we've got 3 major activations happening. That's really interesting, too, because Neptune and Uranus are both on the cusp of changing signs, just like Saturn. So this is deep, y'all. When the social and collectives all shift around the same time, it's a lot. You have to know that when any planet slows down to change sign or to go retrograde or direct, all 3, they slow down and kind of beam really intense energy in that one place. And they take a little longer to do what they got to do. So for June 18th, when I give you the dates, they're what I call prayer days. So Jupiter is going to be in Cancer, squaring off with Neptune in Aries at 2 degrees. So early zone. But here we're talking our consciousness and our faith. What we believe to be true or possible, and then that imagination and fears and projections and confusion that Neptune can cause, right? So while we're rebirthing ourselves and with Neptune and Aries and redreaming what the individual can be, Jupiter's expanding things in Cancer around our self-care and essential needs. Cancer brings up that caretaking, and I always believe it should start with self. So how you feed and nourish yourself, how you take care of your money, how you take care of your house, things like that. Jupiter comes through Cancer every 12 years and expands our consciousness around how we're taking care of ourselves and how we're taking care of the people we love. So there's going to be a little challenge to that we're going to have to grow through. Squares don't necessarily have to be bad, but they are a push to what I say, grow out of comfort zone into new territory. So we like the new territory. We don't want to be bad about that. But we got to see where something has to change about what we believe around our personal needs and our personal desires. There's going to be a little challenge there. So think about what you would do. This is dream time, right? Let's elevate our dreams and put ourselves in there. What do they say? Cultivate success, or what is it? And put yourself in the picture. It's something about draw up success and put yourself in that picture. That's what we want to do. And June 18th, prayer days are a good day to light a candle, put a glass of water, and write out a little petition about how you would like to grow in your emotional default settings and your Aries action and choices and needs and things that you really want to experience. Not think about it, talk about it, dream about it, but actually do it. So let's think about how that's going to unfold. But Jupiter to Neptune, no matter how you wire it, is consciousness and what you believe. So let's see where our beliefs serve us and where they undermine us. Let's ask some questions there. Talk to your oracles. The other two are sextiles, which are opportunities to gain traction. Now, Jupiter's a social planet and Neptune's a collective. Now we're talking Uranus and Neptune, which are both collective. So it's, again, with the bigger picture. Let's think bigger. Let's think broader. It's going to do this 5 times over the course of 25, 6, and 7. So basically, Uranus is touching Neptune because Uranus moves faster, not by much, but it does. Uranus spends 7 years in a sign. Neptune spends 14. Uranus likes to crack us open to certain things, whereas Neptune wants to dissolve it and do it a different way, right? Uranus, we could easily say, is consciousness awakening, again, with the upper chakras. Neptune ruling the oceans and the depths of our emotional well-being. So now we're talking our mental and emotional that's going to be getting super upgraded, but in a slow cooking kind of way, not in a one-and-done kind of way either, 5 times over. So let's think about what we're liberating. Now what's happening is, again, we have these big planets changing signs. So in August 28th, Uranus will have moved to 1 degree Gemini, and Neptune will be retrograding back to 1 degree Aries. So they hit it once, and then they go back, because then the next time, next time they're both retrograde. So the first one in August has got a little bit, I would say, of a heads up, a hint of let's see how things are going, again, with our thinking and consciousness and what we believe and or our imagination and freedom needs coming up in late August, early September, because that's going to be what I call kind of the heads up. When it hits it first of what it's moving into, which is Gemini Aries, and then backs up into its previous sign, it means we've got some completion work to do. So it's going to back up into Taurus Pisces, which is earth and water, and also an opportunity. But it's like that's our final. It's at 29 degrees. It's a final opportunity to close the chapter, let's say, on the body and soul work we've been doing for the last 7 years, and how we have been liberated, hopefully, in our body and in our consciousness around our essential needs. When I say essential, I mean food, sex, and money, the things we really need to function and feel balanced, and that are part of our personal security. All of that has gotten awakened, liberated, and activated by Uranus over the last 7 years. In addition to that, collectively, we've become more aware of what this technology is doing to Mother Earth's body. Taurus is all about the garden, and Scorpio is the breath of God that breathes life into that garden. So they're related. But while Uranus is there in Taurus, we've been really waking up to how much can Mama handle before she cracks, So let's be mindful going forward of how we do that. And know that we get that last chance November 20th when it's Taurus Pisces at 29 degrees. That's the final. The August 28th activation is the sneak preview. That's what that is. Because then 26 and 27, Uranus and Gemini will be basically living in sextile to Neptune and Aries, because they're both going to be there 7 to 14 years. So again, with the longer process of awakening your imagination, awakening your ideas and creativity with Uranus and Gemini, oh my God, it's going to get wild. For us, we can use it to awaken our creative, critical thinking, and we can liberate our thinking from old ways that no longer work or will never serve in this new age, right? I always joke I'm an analog girl in the digital world, so I'm old school on a lot of things. I'm hitting brick walls now. Things are stopped. They're not working for me anymore the way it was. Like there was a little bit of a bridge for a while there that allowed, but now we're so completely in new territory that we're going to have to figure out new ways to function. There's just no two ways about it. All the planets have a story around that one. So think about the activations. That's what I call them when the planets are getting together up in the sky. We have that one challenge, June 18th, and then opportunities August 28th and November 20th between them. So like I said, each year we'll look at how many activations Neptune will have, and we'll cover those in the annual update. Now for divinations, again, just for 2025, we are looking at preparing for the new year here. And the questions I asked started with, what have we been dissolving over the last 14 years, essentially with Neptune and Pisces? And I got number 13, Death, in the Major Arcana. But in this deck, I'm using the Vision Quest Tarot by Guyan Winter and Joe Dose. And in this one, Death is Transformation. So that's what we've been dissolving. And then I asked, what new vision or shared dream is being seeded over the next 14 years? And this deck actually has a spiritual warrior. It's number 7, the Chariot, in the Vision Quest Tarot. And then I asked for third and final was what illusions or delusions are being cleared and released. And I got 7 of Earth, depletion. So deep breath. One good thing about hitting Aries energy is you can't help but think about yourself and your needs. It's completely natural and supported. So what have we been dissolving for the last 14 years? The keywords say letting it be on the deepest level, dying to be reborn, death process, letting go of old patterns, dogmas, and values, shedding the past, inwardly returning to source. Deep breath. The inner message says this card does not represent physical death. Every transformation is a new beginning. So don't waste energy on trying to stop the inevitable. You are simply ready to let go of more unnecessary baggage. The card hints at a long overdue disengagement from certain situations, sometimes the departure of people. However, in its highest aspect, this image represents the soul's longing to be born anew. This can only happen when needless structures and mental veils crumble and fall. Ashe, deep breath. And have we not done that over the last 14 years? Oh my God. At least in your Pisces department, if not everywhere. The outward manifestation says, don't cling to a single thing. Allow everything to disperse itself, even if it seems unbearable at first. You are simply creating more space to accommodate some important newcomers in your life. Your sense of being forsaken will soon turn into joy. But the ego wants to avoid transition. It fears the new. It tenaciously clings to the familiar. It would rather exist in a prolonged stagnation and death-like boredom than surrender to what it can never know, thereby causing much more pain, of course. But you have the courage and understanding to welcome profound changes. Do not postpone this transition. It is a transformation. So let's think about what's been dissolved in our Pisces department over the last 14 years, very slowly and subtly so that it's not super obvious, but now you have hindsight. You can look back and you can see where you had to recalibrate your boundaries or you had to face your fears and you had to deal with things in the Pisces realm. Now, the new vision or shared dream of spiritual warrior, these keywords are seeking, spiritual orientation, inner work, the search for your own truth, Ashe, power, self-contemplation, and self-actualization. The inner message says follow your intuition, even though you're uncertain sometimes. Focus on what is truly important right now. If you find your spiritual direction, you cannot struggle with parts of yourself. To find the whole truth, you neither torture your body nor numb your senses. The real spiritual warrior is peaceful within. He neither fights himself nor others. His ability to surrender to life and his growing faith in the power of the great mystery awakens an understanding so profound that it makes him invincible. Ashe. This is what I mean by relying on your spirit team and your energetic boundaries, really working with that. In fact, I don't think Yeye would be mad if I made you all do the Egg of Light meditation again, because she created something new in the last year that is so juicy and good for this in terms of learning to increase the light in your energetic field, what some people call the Merkaba or the Merkaba. That is our light body that we travel through this lifetime with. And it can get weakened, and we need to fortify it now and then. But just know that being grounded internally with your faith and your belief systems and your spirit team on point, you're invincible. That's what it is. It's a knowing. It's an inner knowing. It's wonderful. The outward manifestation says, in Native American tradition, the search for meaning usually starts with an initial quest for a guiding vision. Alone in the wilderness, each seeker exposes himself to unknown forces without any protection. He patiently waits for a message from the Great Spirit that will determine his future course. The spiritual warrior tells you to pay more earnest attention to your inner being, even while working and in all your relationships. When your soul's values permeate your activities, when your work reflects your inner truth, you live in unity, I say. Then you are one, undivided, no longer torn between contradictory desires, conventions, and opinions. Seek this internal unification. The spiritual warrior knows that misuse of power on any level will never lead to genuine wisdom. Deep breath. And check it, y'all. Ooh, This is so deep because going back to Pisces, ostensibly should have helped us unify within and with others. It should have helped us become all one, undivided, back to source on some level, right? And primordial source, because we know Olokun and Yemaya, the source, the real source of all of our wealth and wonderfulness is there. So it says you are one, undivided, no longer torn between contradictory desires. How many people know those fish are tied at their tails and they're swimming in opposite directions? This is the challenge of Pisces, right? So we're not doing that anymore, because once you get into Aries, it's all about you. Now you're unified from within. You know what you want. You're not pulled in two different directions. You are one pointed energy, birthing anew, going in a whole new direction that is of your own making as well, because we know that the social collective is a little out of whack. So again, bringing back down into what you can handle, what you can manage energetically and otherwise is what's also going to get rebirthed by all the different planetary alignments in the new year. Now, our illusions and delusions being cleared, this depletion, because it's exhausting to be in Pisces. It caused overwhelm for everyone, right? Now, I think we'll be a little better at self-preservation. The keywords, let's start there. Doubts, fear of loss, depletion, exhaustion, speculation, setbacks, power dips, disappointment. Be gone. Let's let go of all that's cleared and released. Inner message, expecting something. Well, basically, the Kellyism is having expectations ensures that you will be let down, right? Expecting something increases our chances of being disappointed. Stay in this moment, completely conscious in the present, and be very still. Give yourself a little more rest at this point, and don't project your negative thoughts into the future, which was also very easy to do over the last 14 years. And I'm only now starting to feel hope again. Outward manifestation says the fear of ending up as a nobody in the material world and therefore never getting enough paralyzes your creative power right now. Don't waste whatever energy you have left on unimportant activities, Ashe. That only hurts and distracts you further from your path. Depressive tendencies are strengthened by tightly holding on to your already stagnating energy. Okay? Definitely don't want to do that. Depressive tendencies are strengthened by tightly holding on, okay? Your most essential lesson now is to give. Give without expecting something in return. To get the life force energy moving again, be willing to let it go. Having to get by on less than full capacity sometimes can be very instructive. Learn to be happy with less. So, again, deep breath. This Pisces to Aries dynamic is this cusp that is somewhere in everybody's chart, is what's happening. We're going to go from this watery womb, water energy is different than fire. Let's just put it that way. It's going to change. It's going to change dramatically. So that is it. I did it in an hour. This is awesome. And I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone wants to share any aha moments or things like that. Otherwise, I'll get it together and get it posted and get the goodies out. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. What's our next event together? Yay and I have the Burden Burning on Friday, July 19th. That's for her Patreon members who pay $25 or more. So join us over there. Otherwise, next month, very busy. We've got Venus Circle, Power Circle, Soul Sister Circle, all kinds of circles. But July was my birthday month, so I tried hard not to schedule stuff. And we had the lunar flip, so it expanded my lunar tool zone, too. So I want to thank everyone. Keep in touch. Reach out directly if you need to. And thank you for being with me. This is Kelly signing off. Peace and love.